So it's Danny Flexent here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by Sam Jones for the first time in a little while. It's been a busy few weeks, particularly for you. Obviously, your man Jack Catterall got on paper the biggest win of his career. A lot of people would contend the first fight with Josh Taylor, he perhaps should have got that, but did this time around. When the scores were about to be read out, were you at all nervous that he maybe wouldn't get the decision again?
No, genuinely, hand on heart, wasn't worried at all. The fight that I watched, and I scored the fight harshly. I mean, I had the fight closer than than the judges had it, but the noise behind me as well was everybody pretty much had Jack by 2 or 3 rounds.
Yeah, so how much of a satisfying feeling was it at the end when it was announced, and a relief, I suppose, as well, after all the years of waiting?
That's the word there, Danny. I mean, listen, we've all worked very hard in getting Jack that night because look, Jack's a fighter that people look at and think, oh, I don't really want to fight him. He's an hard night's work. So it was very important we got Josh Taylor in the ring, and we did. We worked very, very hard to get him in the ring, to give Jack his moment, and to show as well that. And listen, I'm actually really happy the fight ended up how it ended up because people could see that Jack can dog it out as well. Jack, when needs to, he can stand and trade, and Jack has got heavy hands as well. He's not this non-puncher like what people think. Jack can dig a bit. Do you know what I mean? He can really dig a little bit. I thought it was an excellent version of Josh Taylor as well, a healthy, fit, motivated version of Josh Taylor. And I know it's hard for people to kind of process because of what Josh has achieved in boxing, which is everything in boxing. But Jack Catterall is just a better fighter than him. I know that, but I know it's hard for people to kind of, because Jack's not, but really Jack should have won the undisputed title, but that's not the way it worked. And Jack's story is going to go a different way, but he got the win, and it was a massive atmosphere, huge atmosphere. It was amazing to be a part of. And both guys fought their hearts out, and it was Jack Catterall that came on top. Yeah, it was just a great fight. Big respect to Josh Taylor, though. It was a great performance from him also.
If he wasn't already, Jack must now be the best current British fighter to have not yet won a world title. Josh Taylor called for a trilogy in the immediate aftermath. Jack wants a world title, of course. What route is most likely for him now?
Right, so I'll explain this to you, Jan. It's a good job you asked me that because you get a lot of comments, right, saying, oh, Jack's got to fight for a world title. Right, listen, of course we want Jack to fight for a world title next, right? And no matter how much pressure we put on or whatever, the bottom line is Jack isn't mandatory for a world title at the moment, right? He's not mandatory. His profile is here right now because he's come on, which makes it easier to get a world title shot for sure. But the facts are the WBC world title belt is occupied by Devin Haney, and he is obligated to fight Sandor Martin next. Yeah, that's WBC belt away for a while, right? The next belt is the IBF world title, which is occupied by Subriel Matias, who is fighting Liam Parrow in a voluntary defense, right? Yeah, next week. He is then obligated to fight the mandatory challenger, Richardson Hitchens. Yeah, that's that belt put a while. The WBA belt is occupied by Pitbull Cruz. He's fighting in a few weeks on that American show in a voluntary defense. Then he's obligated to fight Ismael Barroso, who is the interim world champion. You then move on to the WBO belt, which is occupied by Teofimo Lopez, who's had 2 mandatories, and the mandatory challenger is Arnold Barbosa. So we're going to get on to the reason why Eddie sent an offer to fight Arnold Barbosa. That is a good route for Jack to go down because it'll be a quick mandatory defense. Now, I'm glad you've asked that question because that's why I had to kind of break it down and try and make people understand, which is why it's difficult to sometimes get world title shots. Now, we could sit out, right? Jack could sit out and fight one of those champions, preferably Teofimo Lopez, at the end of the year, which is a realistic fight. We've been having talks as well, and it's a realistic possibility. Possibility being the key word. Now, what is Jack Catterall meant to do, right? What he's done in his career before is wait. You can't wait for things to happen. So if we can get the Arnold Barbosa fight and become mandatory and force a fight with Teofimo Lopez, we're going to do it, right? But we also have on the table a trilogy with Josh Taylor. That's very lucrative, right? So there's a Regis Prograis fight, but it has to make sense for Jack. Do you understand? If it's not going to be for world titles, it's going to have to be financially appetizing for Jack Catterall, because Jack's earned that right. So I just wanted to explain to people, I'm not being patronizing as well. So, but I just wanted to break it down, because when people go, "Oh, he's got to be for a world title next fight," listen, we want to fight. Jack wants to fight for a world title, but I'm just breaking down there's the protocol that there's no, you can't just, I want to fight Devin Haney for the world. Jack could love to fight all these guys, but they have mandatory obligations. But also Jack would look at opportunities at 147 as well. It's whatever's the best opportunity. But Eddie, I know it's been documented, Jack's a free agent. Like Jack signed, Eddie does it with a lot of fighters. He signs multi-fight deals, 3-fight deals. And yes, that has come to the end. But Jack would love to continue working with Matthew, as would I. Provided obviously everything's correct. But so Eddie, on behalf of Jack, has sent Frank Smith has sent an offer to Golden Boy Arnold Barbosa's team on behalf of Jack to stage a fight. I think, well, we're hoping at the end of August, which would be fantastic, because it keeps Jack active, keeps him getting paid a lot of money, like what he deserves. So yeah, I just thought I'd spout all of that out, and now you can ask me whatever you want, Danny.
Well, I guess it's just from your understanding, what's the carrot for Barbosa, because he's already in that mandatory position.
Yeah, for sure.
Jack would
Barbosa,
be the favourite going into that fight.
I think Arnold Barbosa's got a point to prove, to be honest with you, after his fight against Sean McComb. If he went into a Teofimo Lopez fight, he wouldn't get a great purse for that. He wouldn't get a great purse for that, but Eddie sent him a good offer to come over to Manchester and have a big fight with Jack. Jack's profile's risen really high. It's a great fight.
Well, let's hope that gets over the line. Since we last spoke, we've had obviously the 5 versus 5. Complete drubbing in favour of Frank Warren, although Eddie Hearn doesn't seem too disconsolate about it just yet. Who impressed you the most on the night?
It's a tie between Willie Hutchinson and Daniel Dubois. But I'll give it to Daniel Dubois because I didn't give him a cat in hell's chance in winning.
I don't think many.
Just being honest. No, but I'm just being honest. I know people give me like, "Oh, Sam's got predictions wrong." No, I got half of them right. I had Amo Williams losing to Shiraz.
You can't get half.
Very, yeah, comprehensively. And I had Willie Hutchinson. I put money on that fight. I won some good dough on Willie Hutchinson win. I knew Willie was going to win that fight, but Daniel Dubois gave him not a prayer in winning that fight, not a chance. So I'd have to give that title to Daniel Dubois, and I'm very, very happy for him. Really happy for him. Yeah, like what I said about Daniel Dubois, Danny. It's never been about his chin. It's never been the issue. It's between his ears with Daniel. And I said, if you can get him right between the ears and confident, you're looking at a dangerous man. He can punch. His jab's like a backhand. He's super strong. Listen, he's going to be a problem for the heavyweight division. A confident Daniel Dubois that believes in himself is a dangerous man, Danny.
How confident are you now in Daniel Dubois' mindset after the last 2 performances?
I am very confident in it because Filip Hrgović is a tough man. And Jarrell Miller, for all his criticism, he's a tough man as well. And Daniel's had to dog it. And he's also had to face some adversity in both of those fights. So all the criticism of Daniel Dubois, which he's been labelled as a quitter in the past, I believe he's got rid of those tags, and rightfully so. Daniel Dubois needs a big pat on the back, and I'm the first person to give him that.
Well, let's see if it stays as positive as that when we talk about his potential next fight in September against Anthony Joshua at Wembley. It's not over the line yet. Yeah, I mean, Eddie says it's only going to happen if the IBF title's on the line, and we wait to find out if that's the case.
It should be, yeah.
What does Daniel Dubois, because we know what Joshua needs to do, I think, pretty much, but what does Daniel Dubois need to do to, A, make that fight competitive, and B, get the job done?
Do what he's done in the last 2 fights. Believe in himself and throw leather. It's a great fight. This version of Daniel Dubois, if you'd have asked me before the Jarrell Miller fight, and definitely, or sorry, before the Hrgovic fight, or definitely before the Jarrell Miller fight, I would have said it's a no contest. It's light work for AJ. But in this fight, he's a real live dog in there, Daniel.
So what is it now? Would you say 60-40 AJ or more than that?
Yeah, I would still give AJ I would give AJ he's the favorite in that, but due to experience, right? Due to experience. But I give Daniel Dubois a good chance in that fight because you've got to remember he's still only a young guy, Daniel Dubois. He's still a young guy, but he punches so hard. If Daniel Dubois hits you on the chops, you're gonna know about it. So it's a shootout fight, that fight between him and AJ. They're both kind of similar sizes, aren't they? Like in stature. So it's a well, AJ, I think AJ's a bit bigger, isn't he? AJ's a bit bigger than Daniel, but it's still like it's two big, strong heavyweights that can punch. So I'd be so excited to watch that fight. Definitely now after Daniel's recent run of form and AJ's run of form, they'll both go into that fight full of confidence.
Can Dubois go into this fight, maybe unlike the last two, because there was a lot of question marks, against AJ at Wembley as the underdog? Can he go in with that nothing to lose mentality?
Yeah, he has got, because people will still have him as a big underdog in that fight.
Yeah.
So of course he's got nothing to lose. Daniel's made a hell of a lot of money in boxing at such a young age. You know that. People forget that. Like Frank Warren, I've said this before. You will struggle to find a better promoted fighter than Daniel Dubois on planet Earth
all the time.
Yeah. Danny,
he's done a tremendous job with Dubois.
Danny, not England, the world ever. You go back, right? And this isn't for these plonkers start saying, "Oh, world top." No, I'm talking about cash money, the amount of dough that Daniel Dubois has made in boxing. Daniel Dubois is a rich young man, and he has Frank Warren to thank for that. Trust me, Frank Warren has done arguably the best promotional job in ever with Daniel Dubois, and I mean that. I really, really mean that. I mean, if someone can start going, "Oh yeah, well, there's other fighters," okay, if there is, but there won't be many. That's all I'm saying. So Frank Warren deserves a whole heap of praise for how he stuck by Daniel Dubois, because a lot of promoters, past or present, would be like, "Oof, dud." But he's brought him back up. He's got him the correct fights to bring him back. That plonker he beat in Florida. But all of those fights count. Do you understand what I mean? It's all brought him back to the fighter who he's now become. And I just think, wow, what a job Frank's done with Daniel Dubois. I suppose that's why he's a Hall of Fame promoter. But that is a special job what he's done with Daniel Dubois.
And in a rather unlikely event that Trevor Bryan is watching this, SecondsOut's not calling you a plonker, Trev. It's only Sam.
Yeah, I apologize for the plug, but yeah, let's just say one of the weaker regular WBA heavyweight champions in recent memory. Sorry, Trev.
Yeah, sorry, Trev. Anthony Joshua was watching the Dubois fight from ringside, sandwiched in between Hearn and Warren, seemingly ignoring both of them because he was so focused on the fight, which I suppose is a good thing. What will he have been thinking? What would have been going through his mind watching Dubois?
AJ is a clever man. He'd be thinking, right, this guy needs to be taken very, very seriously. Very, very seriously. I think AJ will be full of confidence because they've done a lot of rounds with each other in the past. But AJ will know that, damn, I've got my hands full here with this young, tenacious young lion, this revitalized Daniel Dubois.
Because people were picking Hrgovic to potentially give AJ a tough night in September, expecting him to come through against Dubois.
Hrgovic is a top fighter. I just think he didn't take Daniel Dubois seriously. I messaged Philip after the fight and says, "You didn't take that fight seriously."
I bet he loved that.
Listen, I speak to Philip. I speak to Philip. I speak to Philip a lot, and I message him. I said, "I don't think you took that fight seriously." But listen, when you under prepare, especially in the heavyweight division, you're gonna know about it. But listen, like what I've just given for the last 5 minutes, Daniel Dubois needs his flowers. He's done fantastically well, and I'm very, very pleased for him.
Now, the other major heavyweight fight on the card was Deontay Wilder, unfortunately losing for the second time in a row, this time to Zhilei Zhang. Let me
Yeah.
ask you, we've got a fight next month between someone you know well in Joe Joyce and Derek Chisora. I know you've spoken about that fight already to one of my colleagues. Out of those three guys, Joyce, Chisora, Wilder, which one needs to retire the most?
On evidence, I don't, it's a hard question to ask me that, isn't it, Daniel? I mean, I think out of the three, Joe's the freshest for sure. I think Joe's the freshest with Joe is the freshest. I don't know. It's a hard one, isn't it? I mean, like what I said about going back to the Joyce Chisora fight. I wish that fight would have happened a few years ago. But one thing you are going to get in with those two is you're going to get a proper fight because neither of them take a step back and they both think they're going to win. So you're going to get a fucking car crash with those two, aren't you? And just listen, everyone knows my thoughts about Joe Joyce. I love him to bits. I respect Derek Chisora so much, and I just hope they both have a great fight and they both get out the ring safe and sound. But Deontay Wilder, you can't really. It's hard for like chubby fellas. Do you know what I mean? I won't say on your behalf, but on me to say, oh, he should
Yeah, I'm
retire. He
beyond
should
chubby,
retire.
mate. Chubby's
Yeah,
claim and gone.
but but that's what I'm saying. It's very difficult for us, yeah, to say, oh, Deontay Wilder, former world heavyweight champion, you need to retire. But on the evidence of his last two fights, it's not there anymore. It just isn't there anymore. His recklessness was what made him so dangerous. And he hasn't been reckless in either of the two fights. It just feels like he's 38. It happens to everybody. Happens to everyone. And I know people will say that, oh, his biggest win's Luis Ortiz. He's never really been that good. But me personally, I think the fights with Tyson Fury took a lot out of Deontay Wilder. That's me being honest about it. So all these people saying, oh, he was never any good. I don't agree with that at all. I don't think he's ever been technically very good, but he's always been one dangerous motherfucker, right? Which is why everyone feared him for so many years, and which is why he gave us so many great, exciting nights. I believe the Tyson Fury fights have aged him. That's my honest opinion. And yeah, I would like to see Deontay Wilder kind of like, you've left your mark on the sport, right? What anyone thinks about it, you've made millions and millions of pounds, dollars, and you've been involved in some great heavyweight fights. You can leave with your head held high. That's my honest opinion on Deontay Wilder.
Just sticking with the heavyweights, you've obviously got a lot of time for Billy Nelson, and his man Martin Bakole seems to have finally
Jared
landed
Anderson.
a huge fight. Yeah, Jared Anderson on the big Riyadh season debut in America, not too far away now. What do you make of that fight?
Listen, old William messaged me saying, "Oh, got a big fight." I was like, "Oh," and he said Jared Anderson. I was like, "Wow, that's a really good fight. A really, really good fight. It's what Bakole needs. He needs a big profile fight. You can't just sit around going." Listen, I told him John was going to fight Cassius Chaney on one of them weird Don King shows in Florida somewhere in a sports hall. I was like, "You're not going to get anything out of that. You need a big name, Bakole. You need and Jared Anderson is a highly touted." Up and coming American heavyweight. Now, my thoughts are about that fight. I genuinely believe if it goes long, I think Jared Anderson can win the fight. But I would fear for Jared in the first 6. But it's a very, very tough fight for young Jared Anderson because Bakole's a tremendous fighter. I know, listen, me and Billy have our back and forwards, but Bakole's a tremendous fighter.
And then, not too far away now, we had the press conference a few days ago. Two fighters who you were associated with at SJAM for quite some time. Johnny Fisher topping a bill against Alan Babich in what will be
Yes.
a much talked about fight. And John Hedges
Yes.
also on the show going for the
Southern
Southern
area
Area
title, yeah.
title, which, we've been waiting for him to step up to title class sometime. Incredible talent. How much pride does it give you, even though you're no longer with SJAM, to see those two guys succeeding so well?
Yeah, look, listen, John Edges signed him when he was just turning 18, got him a deal with Matchroom, and he's listen, he had a shaky start, but then he's done really well, John Edges. He's built himself up. He's big now. He's growing to be a big cruiserweight. They probably end up a heavyweight. So yeah, really, really happy to see him find this is his biggest night, getting a Southern Area title shot. And listen, Johnny Fisher is like we're very close. I speak to Johnny every day. I really do. I speak to him every single day. He's like one of my really good friends. So yeah, it fills me with great pride to see him do so well. And listen, and his whole family. Do you know what I mean? Like they're big names, aren't they? The Fishers. And I think Babbage is a good step for Johnny. I think it's a good profile fight for him. You'll see how many tickets. Like Johnny's going to fill the Copper Box. It's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere in there. And I do think he'll knock Alan Babbage spark out.
Yeah, it must be nice because I think people criticised early on there was a lack of amateur experience and people wanted him to be stepped up quicker than he was. It's kind of his popularity didn't match his progression, which is understandable. But looking
Yeah.
at how much he's developed and the sparring he's had, it seems like Matchroom have got this pretty much right.
But listen, everybody is so quick to like they want you. See me, Daniel, right? This is the way I think. I think a lot of the fighters, if you've got an extensive amateur background, right? I don't believe you should be fighting 15 journeymen or 10 journeymen. I don't believe that. I mean, you look at Cameron Vaughn. Cameron Vaughn's not had a huge amateur background, but a very good amateur background. He's fighting Jordan Flynn, 11-0 guy, and Cameron's 4-0. But I believe these are the steps you should be taking if you've got a strong amateur background. Joe Joyce, when he turned pro, I know he turned pro at 31, but he's still straight in the fighters like Johnny Fisher had, I think, 4 or 5 amateur fights. For his university. It's you've got to learn on the job. You've got to learn on the job. You've got to give him these moments. You've got to give him these big fights. But imagine Johnny, right? Johnny doesn't have normal pressure on his shoulders. He has extra pressure on his shoulders because a normal prospect will sell 200 or 300 tickets. Well, okay, 100 or 200 tickets. Maybe not even that. Johnny sells 2,000 or 3,000 tickets. Yeah. Can you imagine the weight that he carries on his shoulders? But he can because he's that type of person, Johnny. He's as daft as a brush, but he's got huge bollocks and he's strong as an ox. And I genuinely believe he's a world-class heavyweight prospect. I really do believe that. The people he's boxed with, that I've seen Johnny share rounds with world-class heavyweights and give them all the problems in the world. If Johnny replicates that on fight night, Johnny's going to go a long way. He really is. But it's step by step. Who knows where he's going to get to? But it's going to be fun. It really is. It's going to be fun. And I just think Babbage might ask a few questions of Johnny, but I think as soon as Johnny lands a bomb on anywhere on the base of his head, he's going to fall over and he's going to struggle to get back up.
Right, and just finally, you wake up tomorrow morning, you've inexplicably swapped bodies with Tunde Ajayi, some sort of Freaky Friday type scenario.
I was wondering where you were going to go then, Danny. That's a mad one.
It is a bit of a mad one, but just say that happens. What is your advice to your number one man in Anthony Yarde? What does he do next promotionally and which fight?
It's a hard one again to answer this question because I genuinely like Tunde. Genuinely, I like Tunde. I really like Anthony Yarde. But from an outside perspective looking in, going back to what I was saying about the Daniel Dubois thing, you will struggle to find another promoted fighter better than what Frank Warren has done for Anthony Yarde. So I find it very strange. So I don't know what's gone. Something must have gone very drastically wrong there for that relationship to go. Because Frank Warren has done a sensational job for Anthony Yarde. You got to look, right? Anthony Yarde's best win is a very good Lyndon Arthur, right? And Lyndon Arthur beat Anthony Yarde. So really, so they beat each other. But again, Frank got him the rematch, brought him back up, got him another world title fight. Do you understand what I mean? Because this was post Kovalev.
Yeah.
Got him to number 1 without really fighting anybody, let's be honest. Yeah. Got him to number 1 status, got him paid a shitload of money to go to Russia and fight Kovalev, get that experience, come back, fight Lyndon Arthur, lost, rematch Lyndon Arthur, get it straight back, another world title against another killer in Beterbiev, but who gave a great account of Anthony Yarde's a great fighter. He really is. I love watching Anthony Yard fight. I love Anthony Yard fight nights, especially when he's involved in big nights. He brings it. And I think Anthony Yard can be a world champion. I just think that from an outside perspective looking, and this isn't me giving advice because I can't give advice. I don't know the situation, but Frank's done a great job. So if you can solve it, then if you can mend that, then mend it, because Frank ain't done a bad job by Anthony Yard.
Yard, Buatsi, who are you picking?
I would favour Anthony Yard, but Buatsi is more active. Like things like this is not going to help Anthony Yard. But these disputes, I don't know. I don't know. I just think that. I don't know, but whatever Buatsi, it's a 50-50 fight. It's a 50-50 fight. I would really look. I would love to watch
now, mate.
I know. But like, I would. It's a 50-50 fight. But I would love to watch the fight, and I think that Frank Warren deserves to be a part of that promotion. If I'm honest with you, whatever platform it lands on.
Well, let's hope they all work things out. Sam, really appreciate your time, mate, and let's do this again soon.
Thank you, Danny.
Cheers, mate. Take care.